Hello. It's been really, really hot in Europe over the past few weeks. We've been suffering a bit of a heat wave, and I was actually racing in it on Sunday. And I've also had quite a few clients really struggling with it, especially their long run. Training and racing in the heat is hard, but it usually takes your body about 10 days to acclimatise. By acclimatise, what we mean is that your body just starts to deal with the heat better, and you start to feel better in the heat and perform better. And there are certain physiological changes that will happen. You'll start to sweat more, and you'll generally just start to perform better and feel better, even though the heat and the temperature is the same.
And it's also useful to know that when you spend time in the heat, when you go back to the heat, it's much quicker to acclimatise. So those initial 10 days, if you can get maybe a holiday on the Costa del Sol or something like that, or Mallorca, early in the season, that's going to put you in good shape for the rest of the season. I mean, obviously, if it's really hot, you're not going to perform as well as you would do at normal temperatures, but you can get quite close to it. You can do a lot to prepare yourself for either a training session or a race, particularly a race, really, where it's more important, by pre-cooling, sort of preparing yourself by reducing your body temperature.
So you've probably seen, if you've watched any type of professional racing, professionals warming up with these ice vests on so that they can warm up their muscles without actually increasing their core temperature too much. Not everyone has access, obviously, to an ice vest, but there are certain little tricks that you can use to make sure that you start off at a cooler temperature than you would otherwise. One thing would be to just shorten your warm up. You don't need to warm up that much if it's already really hot, and especially if it's a long event, you don't really need much warm up at all. Seek out somewhere cool, find a shop with air conditioning,
Or sit in a cafe before the event.
or just seek out some shade. I quite often go running with our dog, Fernie, and one of the things that I always think is that an advantage of being a human being is that we can change our clothes according to the weather and according to the temperature, whereas poor little Fernie's just got his fur coat all year round. So as you can see, we went for a run this morning and I'm wearing a light vest top and some very light shorts, which makes it much cooler for running. So if you can invest in some decent, cool running gear, something that's wicking as well to wick the sweat away, then that's far better and will make you more comfortable when you're running and just help you generally manage the heat.
Some people like to wear sunglasses, and that because it's a little bit darker and not so bright, they actually feel cooler.
In addition to keeping cool, it's also really important to protect yourself from the negative effects of the sun. So making sure that you've got sun cream on, especially in a long event. I know some people actually carry small tubes with them to reapply. And also wear a hat just to protect yourself from sunstroke.
And the other thing about the heat is it can be hard to eat, and also you have to drink a bit more because you sweat a bit more, and therefore you have to replace at least some of the sweat that you've lost. You don't have to replace all the sweat that you've lost, but at least you have to be effectively hydrated so that you don't lose performance by getting too dehydrated. What sort of things have you found? Because you did that big race on the weekend in quite hot conditions. Did you see anybody suffering, or have you sort of learnt some theories that you've applied in your own running?
I think definitely it's really, really important to drink because if you're dehydrated, your body can't actually manage the heat as well because it can't produce the sweat. Other physiological functions start to break down as well. So you'll just feel hotter if you're
Yeah,
dehydrated.
yeah.
And certainly, yeah, it's really important to be able to drink and to have something that is easy to drink and, tastes good.
Yeah,
So you're motivated to drink it.
it's a good point that you have to have something that tastes good, otherwise you're unlikely to drink it or eat it. And also having something a little bit salty. Sweet things are quite nice, but a lot of these energy drinks are really sweet. But having something that's a bit salty encourages you to drink because sort of encourages that thirst response. One thing I found, you mentioned that you might stop sweating or you need water to sweat. I found one of the first times I went to the south of France, it was the Southern Alps, Alpes Maritime. I was doing quite a lot of running, and one long run, I think 2 or 3 hours run, I stopped sweating. I thought, oh, this is probably not a good thing. But anyway, I survived. And then back to the pre-cooling thing that we discussed earlier about the ice vests and things. Actually, having ice cream or slushies can it can make a big difference. If you have a slushie, if you've got access to that sort of thing, or you're in a village or a town where you might be able to buy iced water, then that can make a difference actually and make you a bit cooler before the start. So reduce your core temperature, but not impact on your warm up.
And what better way to have something cool, nutritious, and delicious to eat than to eat some ice cream?
I hope you found that useful, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.